Hello, hope you're well and welcome to episode 7 of Benjy's Cafe podcast with me, Ben Harlow. Thanks for listening, and joining me in Benjy's Cafe this week is the British TV and stage star Sue Pollard. Sue has appeared in over 35 stage plays and musicals and starred in over 40 pantomimes, and became a household name as chambermaid Peggy Ollerenshaw in Jimmy Perry and David Croft's iconic sitcom Hi-de-Hi.
And then by about series 3, I thought, people are looking at me. Is it me? Have I got, smudged eye makeup or something? And it was on Chapel Market, where I live in North London, nearby. And of course, someone came up to me and went, Hi-de-Hi. And of course, I realised, that people have obviously seen it. It was on the TV last night. So, it's ridiculous. I just went, hoo-de-hoo. I went, gosh.
In 1986, Sue reached number 2 in the charts with her single Starting Together, and in 2023 was one of 7 celebrities in BBC's pilgrimage, The Road Through Portugal. Her career has spanned over 45 years, and all with a smile. It's a wonderful chat. Enjoy listening. Welcome to Benjy's Cafe, Sue Pollard.
Oh, Ben, it's absolutely lovely to have been. You've been around since
Sue.
God. They always say, sometimes they say, would you like to be in so-and-so? Well, of course, it's always thrilling to be asked to be part of something, whether it's a cast, whether it's a holiday, like that fabulous pilgrimage we did. Oh, it was absolutely fabulous. I really liked it. You were told what to expect. So, of course, you knew that there were going to be all sorts of things out of your comfort zone. But, you've got to do these things, Ben, sometimes and give it a go. And it was marvellous. Now I know that I can walk up 527 steps of the Basilica. Wouldn't you let me speak? No, but it was great. So thank you for mentioning that. God, it was funny.
No, it was a wonderful show and a wonderful watch. I was going to say, Sue, you just talking about energy and your fitness levels, your career has spanned 45, 50 years. I first saw you, I think, in Hi-de-Hi the musical at the Alex in Birmingham, which must have been the mid-80s. And then I saw you in Panto in Real 2005. You're still going. What do you put that down to? Is it your engine, your drive, your zest for life, would you say?
I think you've probably got that in 3, what you just said then. I think it's really helpful to have some sort of a passion for it. When people say, a passion, but it absolutely is that. You don't want to ever even dream of doing anything else. So you focus on that lust for what you want to do. You might forego all sorts of other things. I never really wanted a family. Theatre's my family, and if you like, the public is because I didn't want to have the responsibility that I think mums and dads have. I mean, they do a fantastic job, hard work, bringing up another human, but it's all marvellous. And then I think if you focus and you're disciplined and you learn your profession, you learn what you need to put into it, not just learning your lines. You need to sort of be disciplined enough. And I always say to people, the R word matters, and that is reliability. You could be less talented than somebody, but your commitment is better. So, they know that if they hopefully want to cast you, you're going to be reliable. And it's like in any job, isn't it, Ben? You were here today, 11 o'clock in the morning, click on this link, Sue. You've done all your homework.
It's like I'm back at school.
I know.
But I think you're dead right, Sue, especially in show business and, of course, in other walks of life, to have that reliability. People know that they can trust you, that you're going to do a good job. You're going to arrive on the first day of rehearsals in our line of work, prepped and ready to go. And that's huge, isn't it?
Oh, yes, I absolutely think so. I always say that to people. I mean, I know a lot of the younger ones, they've probably always been interested in theatre or some sort of social media. More accessible now than it ever was 50 years ago, probably even 30. So, but the trouble is that, you can't just say you want to be famous, darling. No, you have to learn a bit and graft. And also, not only that, Ben, you have to respect your profession. You have to respect other people. So you've got to arrive on time, because it's almost like poo-pooing the rest of the cast. you're keeping them waiting as well. And I think a lot of producers, if they can see that you are, in it for the right reasons, then they need us, but you need producers as well. So we meet each other halfway, don't we, Ben? I think
Yeah.
that is the key to it all. Oh, and also
But
to have
also,
fun. You've got to have the fun, dear. I mean, you've got to go in there.
oh my gosh.
If you start at 10 o'clock, you get there for 9:45. You're all round the tea urn. Hey, what did you do last night, girl? Well, you'll never get. And then you start the day laughing, doing it. So, have you got any gossip? I
I
never have any.
know. And isn't that joyous to be able to have a chuckle and a laugh? It's so important, I think, especially first thing in the morning. This morning I've been out for a nice walk with our little dog Harry and just made a point of saying hello and good morning to people. That's so important to start your day on the right foot, isn't it?
Well, I think you're absolutely right, because it helps you. You're giving pleasure to somebody by reaching out to them, and vice versa. I've got to ask you though, do you think, Ben, from your point of view, because obviously, you were London based until a
Yeah.
few months ago, do you think there is a big divide between the North and South in the way that people treat other people, in terms of more warmth up north than it would be down south? What would
Yeah,
you would you agree?
I agree with you, Sue. We went last night to see our friend Duncan, who's in Blue, in their concert. Fantastic gig, by the way.
Ooh.
Get tickets there on tour. Oh my God, I felt 21 again. But we had a taxi driver, Sue, and it was such a wonderful experience. I think, having lived in London for so long, you become a little bit guarded. And I think by doing that, you're cutting yourself off from experiences with characters which are going to enhance your day, even for half an hour or an hour. If you can meet somebody that enhances your life, that's a huge positive. And we were
Mhm.
chatting away. I've invited myself round for tea at his today. I don't know if I'll turn up or not, but he was an absolute joy. And it's an experience. And I think certainly, we used to live in Hertfordshire, but people are a little bit more guarded. I don't know if they're scared to reveal themselves. I don't know. But I'm from the Midlands, where people are very gregarious. And up here, honestly, we knew our neighbours, Sue, when we moved up within 2 weeks. Everyone's so friendly, welcome cards. And it does just make you feel buoyant. You just feel happy. There's a lovely feeling about the city here in Liverpool.
Oh,
Did,
I've
did you
always
find
loved
that,
it.
Sue, when you've toured here? Did you feel that when you're playing the Empire?
Well, yeah, but you've got to laugh. The first time I went there, 48 years ago, Godspell. Well, I had, of course, my usual sartorial style, a bowler hat with a feather in it, and a boa. Right, got this boa. I
Yeah.
got off onto the platform, and these two guys each took one end of the boa, nearly strangled me to death, and said, "Welcome to Liverpool." I went, nearly dead. Uh,
Potentially your first and last time in Liverpool,
yeah,
Sue.
obviously since then it's great, but I'd like to give a shout out though to London, because it's been
Yeah.
fantastic for me. I was always told by David Croft, who wrote and directed and produced Heidi High, you've got to live above the shop, Sue, if you can. Meaning, of course,
Yeah.
it's more difficult to come and do something if you're like 2 hours train ride away, which I can
Yeah.
see that point. But we're so lucky now, Ben. We can appear anywhere in the world, aren't we? We're lucky enough
Oh,
to say, somebody might say, have you ever done it? Somebody might say, we'd like you to be in this show in Japan. And when we found
yeah.
out that there's a great theatre in Dubai, we're not restricted, actually, are we, Ben? We're very lucky,
Yeah.
really.
It's wonderful that we're in a profession, Sue, that we can travel and you're entertaining people. But what a way to see the world. I've been lucky enough to do some wonderful tours here, there, and everywhere, not just the UK circuit, but to have the chance, especially as a young performer, to be able to visit and experience different environment cultures whilst performing and doing what we love. It's wonderful. I mean, have you performed abroad? I know you did pilgrimage to Portugal, but acting wise, have you toured abroad or
Yes,
played
New
abroad?
Zealand, Singapore,
Wow.
and Hong Kong, Spain, Sidges. I went to Sidges last year and did this place called El Piano. right? Because it was piano
Amazing.
bar, a very
Yeah.
innovative title, darling, for an established. Would you like to come to our piano? I said, yeah, I'll come. And anyway, we just did a one night thing there. Obviously, Campus Chloe, it's a total gay bar. It's fabulous, though. They were really good. The guy that owns it, he co owns it, he plays the piano. It's a beautiful, like a baby grand, and it was marvelous. And I told this story, and it just made me laugh because I said, it's great to be back in Spain again.
Oh my, meeting all these wonderful people. I mean, I bet you had an absolute riot that night. Do you think meeting all these people in new environment, that keeps you fresh and keeps you young at heart as well?
Oh, I'm absolutely sure of it. I mean, you might do the same old spiel. You might tell them the same joke that you've been telling for 30 years. I mean, on stage and off, because, you know, you're mingling afterwards and things like
Yeah.
that. And just meeting people in the street, as you said. That absolutely does, because you're in a different environment. You're actually speaking to people on their own terms. You're not just on your home turf, as it were.
Yeah.
You know, you're
But
more people are more conscious here, I think, aren't they? Of you know, I just think it's nice to offer compliments and to receive them. It's like we were saying
yeah,
earlier when you took Harry out today. You know, you said hello to all these people, which was fabulous. I think that's nice.
yeah, it's just, and it doesn't cost, as my mum would say, it doesn't cost a penny, does it? Just to say hello or good morning. And
No, you're right, totally, and
I
I
think
think
that's
that's
lovely.
marvelous. You might make somebody's
Yeah.
day because some of the older people who just can't get out, darlings. I always say this, you know, do try and keep an eye on people around you because they might not have been out for ages, and you never know, they might have had a fall or something. So you're just lucky that you can get out, darling. I think dead lucky.
Yeah.
All you've got to do is wake
I
up breathing.
And people don't, even just somebody saying hello to you can just give you a little lift, a little spark. And interestingly, Sue, during lockdown, I worked on the checkouts at Tesco.
Oh, how was
So
that?
you know what? I absolutely loved it. It helped me so much during that awful period have a structure, and
Good.
it just completely highlighted the importance of human interaction. And just as you were saying, Sue, you know, I'd have like my Tuesday regulars and older people, and probably, you know, don't have that much contact with people anyway, but especially during lockdown. And so it was lovely, just a little weekly chat as I was like beeping the bananas, beep beep, and all the rest of it.
Oh, great
And
stuff.
I'm so proud of doing that, and it was just wonderful. And you know, like you say, just that little bit of interaction can really lift somebody. I mean, I was the tallest checkout person in the history of Tesco, Sue. You know, there was me and all the other little lovely ladies, and then me 6'6" on checkout 18, like hello size, Sue.
Yeah.
Sue, what I'd love to hone in on is you mentioned beautifully your lust for what you do, your lust for your chosen life. Can you remember where that lust was ignited and how it was ignited? Was it a theatrical family that you grew up in, or was it a certain show that you saw and thought, oh, yes, this is for me?
Actually, it was at school. I was 6 years old. I remember thoroughly. And we were doing the nativity. Everyone does one, don't you, at school and everything, you
Yeah,
know. Anyway, I was the angel Gabriel's assistant. I was sort of learning, you know. And anyway, the teacher, she said, we'll have to have something a bit higher than that for you to stand on because it wasn't on the stage. It was just, you know, in a hall in the school. So she got this cardboard box and she put sellotape around it so I could stand on it, right? So it was all set to go. And there I was. Fear not, Mary, the angel Gabriel will be with you in a moment, bringing good news. I remember it now. 6. Anyway, I stood on the box. Fear not, and then my foot went through the flipping box because the sellotape was too thick. So that was an inauspicious start. So anyway, my foot was there, and so I just thought, can't have this. So I put the other foot in the box as well and delivered my line. Well, of course, the audience killed themselves laughing because it must have looked quite beyond, you know, a bit ridiculous. Anyway, I thought, oh, well, I don't think they were laughing at me. They were sort of laughing with me, and I was trying to overcome this unfortunate, you know. And
yeah.
I really enjoyed myself. And then the teacher said, no, I think you did very well, Sue. Would you like to join the drama group after school? Which I did. And I thought, no, this is for me. So then when we were at school, have you ever done this? You're in English And the teacher says, there's an essay today. I'd like you to write down what you think you'll be doing in 10 years' time when you're 24. Right? This is to the whole class, you know. And I distinctly remember writing, yes, I'm going to be in London in the West End because that's my dream, you know. And yeah, I was. So I was thrilled. I think the good Lord must have gone, go on, let's see if we can, you know, what we can do for you. And so that was there. So it was always there, Ben. But
And how
all I
wonderful
know,
at that age you knew what you wanted to do, and I think that's so bold, and I really admire that you knew what made you happy, and my goodness, you were going to do everything you could to
yeah.
get there. I think that's so admirable, Sue. I really do.
Thank you. Well, I was really lucky because, you know, there was more scope. Everybody wants to audition now, bless them. And it's really difficult to get into this profession now,
And,
you know, because you've got to follow your dreams. I mean, some people go to drama school, God love them, and they probably realise,
you know, that
yeah,
shows that's.
I was really lucky. So still lucky to be working. I always think it's great when people offer you a job. Oh, yes, and you miss, I mean, you've probably done it, Ben. You miss weddings, you miss, you know, I try not to miss funerals, but I know the ones that if I can't attend them, because I am doing panto, you know, like you, something, you then
Yeah.
go, darling, you know, I always look and go, I'm sorry, babes, I'll be thinking of you on your, you know, your sending off, but they'd understand because they'd say, no, you've got work, so you've got to fulfill your So
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
I'm sure upstairs they understand. But once you, well, you know, Ben, unless it is absolutely catastrophic, you have to fulfill your contract. The producers expect you to. I had a boyfriend once and he said, hey, I've got 2 tickets for the Albert Hall on Wednesday. I said, well, no, dear, I'm being a wicked witch in Belfast. I
But
think
it
he
is true,
was,
isn't it?
yeah, he was lovely actually, but it didn't last very long, that union, because he was, I think he was a solicitor and he just thought you could take the day off. So that was the
Yeah.
end of that.
You can't, can you? And it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Sue, in our chat about that reliability. You make a commitment and you have to stick to it, because there are an awful lot of people who'd like to be in the shoes that you're in, up on that stage in those parts, isn't it? You have
Mm.
to have that reliability.
Yes, I think so. But then again, we're looking. But luckily, when you've been fortunate enough to be working, you can then over the years say, can't you? You can be a bit more choosy because you know, in a way, you go, oh, I don't have to tour this one. I don't really think I like this. And then you might go, no, I've got the ability to choose a script better now and what it entails. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
I was going to ask you, Sue, were you ready for the public adoration when you were cast as Peggy in Heidi High? Obviously, you've done a lot of theatre work. Can you just share with us how that part came about? And my goodness, 8 years in that part. What a show! What a beautiful ensemble it must have been to be part of. Paul Shane, Jeffrey Holland. How did that part come about? Were you spotted on stage?
no, I think what it was basically, I was with an agency and you know, a theatrical agency that gets you all the jobs, you know. And then David and Jimmy belong to the same agency. Well, agents aren't daft. They go, oh, I'll get 3 lots of commission here. Perhaps I should get my client into this show.
Very true. Very true.
Well, you can't blame him, I suppose. No, anyway, so basically, he just said to David and Jimmy, I've got this client that I think might be suitable. I know she's done a few bits and pieces and she's done a couple of tellies, but not particularly that much. So they said, well, all right then. Well, you know, let's send her through to the, the flat. So it wasn't as much as an audition. It was basically a chat at Jimmy Perry's flat in Westminster. And I remember he was on the top floor. Well, it's a bit like, do you remember Barefoot in the Park where Robert
Yes,
Redford
yeah.
and the mother came up to visit and she was, I was a bit like that. I said, so I knocked on the door and Jimmy Perry answered and he went, we don't want any pegs. I said, no, I've come for the chat because I obviously looked like a hippie. You see, I had this accent. with the with the bowler hat again, in the thing. And they said, "Oh
Yeah.
no, I've come for the chat." He said, "Oh, come in then." And I remember going into their living room. David was there. We had a chat, gave me a cup of tea, and he said, "Well, thank you very much. It's been nice to talk to you. Thank you." So it was only about half an hour. And then I didn't hear anything for a year, right? So you
Wow.
think, oh,
Okay.
well, that's it. But David and Jimmy always wanted to make sure for them that they got the right people for the parts that they had in mind. So that was why it took so long. Anyway, apparently, when I left the door of the flat, David said, "Well, she's potty. Well, oh, I know what we can do. We can make her the potty Sally made." So that was, Anyway, a year later, got a call from the agent, and he said they'd like you to be in, obviously, the pilot. Oh, I was so excited. But
Yeah.
unbeknownst to me, that's the way they cast everybody. Jimmy Perry was watching Coronation Street, and he tuned in, and there was Paul Shane in The Rover's Return as a delivery man. And straight away, Jimmy went, "That's our Ted Bovis." So he rang David Croft and he said, "You've got to put the telly on now because I think we found Ted Bovis." And David
Wow.
turned on, he went, "Yes, that's him." And then I think Jeff got his part as Spike because he'd already been in an episode of Dad's Army. Now, David
Right.
and Jimmy were incredibly loyal. And they all said to him, "If we ever find a part for you in something else, please, we'd love you to do it." And Ruth got her part of Gladys because at the time she was in Watford Playhouse, which was then run by Jimmy Perry. So once again, Jimmy said, "Ruth, I think we're doing this, developing this sitcom. I think we've got a part for you." So that's why it took a year. They wanted to get the
Wow.
right people. So
But
we were
that's
there.
such a
We were
clever
lucky.
skill, isn't it? It's such a skill to be able to visualize who they wanted and who would gel together. And my God, it worked, didn't it?
Yes, I think that's it. They were always very careful. But incidentally, Simon was not the first choice for Geoffrey Fairbrother. The first choice was a guy, John Quayle, and his sisters, Anna Quayle. She's been in quite a few films. And he came and read John, and they really liked him. And they offered him the part. Can you believe this? Well, you didn't know he was going to go anywhere after the pilot, but it was just the pilot. And they wouldn't let John out National Theatre. I think he was a
No
spear
way.
carrier, third on the left. You know,
Gosh.
it could have been Geoffrey Fairbrother, but it obviously wasn't meant to be. So you just don't know, Ben, do
Yeah.
you?
Well, it's those sliding doors moments, isn't it? It's crazy. How
Yes,
how exciting was it as the series evolved and you're getting this wonderful feedback from the nation? People
it was
loved it. I
fabulous.
remember I can still picture the graphic you've been watching, Simon Cadell, Sue Pollard, Ruth Madoc with my grandpa. It it was so carefree and wonderful. How exciting was it as a performer knowing that you were in such a hit show, Sue?
Well, I couldn't believe it. We went straight away. Obviously, I can just go back. I'll give you a little bit of a scenario. There we were. We'd only been on the camp a fortnight. We just had to do all the outside filming. Anyway, we did stay in the chalets. Huh, not to be recommended. Um, we just finished the last scene, and myself and Shaney and Ruth, we were sat on the edge of the bed in the chalet, and he brought out a smidgen of whiskey. It was so cold, and we'd done all the work. And Shaney said, "Come on then, let's have a little toast. We've done our best. Let's just see if it goes any further." Well, of course, it went to series. And then by about series 3, I thought, people are looking at me. Is it me? Have I got, smudged eye makeup or something? And it was on Chapel Market, where I live in North London, nearby. And of course, someone came up to me and went, "Heidi, hi." And of course, I realised, that people have obviously seen it. It was on the TV last night. So, it's ridiculous. I just went, "Oh, hooty hoo." I went, "Oh, bosh."
Oh, Sue.
It's pathetic. But the thing is, nobody tells you. And you just have to play by ear. you know, how, you know, you have to say, thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. Like I was saying earlier, you get to know the business. You get to know what
Yeah.
you know, your other role is. You've got to be polite and kind to people. All they want to do is say hello. And anyway, after that, they kept saying it more and more. And even my ex-father-in-law, he came over from Australia, and he said, what is this strange way of communicating? What what is this hidey-hi? You have to say ho-de-ho. I said, oh, it's, you know, a show I've been in, because I hadn't seen it in Australia. So we went, he watched one of the episodes and went, oh, this is good. And do you know what, Ben? We laughed and laughed every year for like 3 months. I mean, you can't get a better job than that, Ben. It was
Oh,
marvelous. And well, you know what it's like. Then years ago, you'd get the scripts 3 months in advance, because there was no messing about. David and
wow.
Jimmy, every day they wrote in longhand, and suddenly, while they were writing it, Jimmy would do my accent, and he's terribly posh, you know. He was a major, and him trying to say, "Oh, Mr. Fairbrother," you know. And David used to do Gladys. You know,
Oh,
they do all the, so you get the part 3 months before in the letterbox, straight away, read them all, not just your part, you'd read all the scripts, then so you were familiarised straight away with it. And then you'd go to the filming. By then, it was obviously out of season, because all the staff had gone, and the campers. And it was always in September, October, Ben. And I was lucky because I was always fully clothed. The poor yellowcoats, I mean, you know, Nicky
oh
and
my
Ricky,
God.
they were
Yeah.
always perished. So, but gradually you get used to being stopped in the street. And I never mind that. Why should you? Why should you not want to embrace something that you've given millions of people pleasure to? And that's all they want. And I just thought, oh, this is marvellous. Marvellous.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've never gone out wearing dark glasses. I can't see anyway. What's the blooming point in that?
And was it lovely, Sue, playing a character? Like, I guess, did Jimmy and David, did they pick up on your nuances, your character,
Yeah, they
your
did.
personality? So add bits of you to Peggy.
Yes, totally. I mean, very much the same. I mean, Simon was quite Jimmy, sorry, it was Jeffrey Fairbrother. He
Yeah.
definitely was it. You have to start somewhere, Ben. So you've got to bring something to the character. So it's usually a bit of yourself. And then suddenly you get a script and you go, I can't believe that I said that on the bus the other night, you know, when we were having dinner or something. You know, when you're on filming and they get the bus, don't they, where you have
Yeah,
to
yeah, on
tasting.
location.
Well, I thought, didn't nick that. But we didn't mind, because if something was funny and they felt that it was suitable for the script. So in a way, they did right. And Simon Cadell used to say, apparently, the difference between Sue and Peggy is the Berlin Wall. That's what he
And was it lovely? Was it
said.
lovely taking the Was it lovely taking the show out on the road, Sue? It
Well,
toured as a stage show.
oh, yeah, totally. Because you had already the added bonus of people knowing you from the screen, and you'd been in their homes, you know, regularly. And so, of course, David and Jimmy were never one to hide behind modesty. So they'd go, right, we're putting Heidi Heidi musical on, we're writing this, just like they did Dad's Army. They took that on tour.
Yeah.
Well, of course, people couldn't wait on it, because when they saw you in the flesh, it was fantastic. And it was so lovely. People were so excited, darling. You wouldn't believe it. One woman went, oh, I can't believe I've seen you all. She cried.
Oh
So
gosh.
sweet. But it was so funny, because when we were in Blackpool Grand, no, it might have been the big one. Would it be the Winter Gardens? Yeah.
Maybe the Winter Gardens is
Yeah.
the bigger one.
So
Yeah.
we were in there. And during the performance, there was a bingo game. You know, two fat ladies, 88. You know, that was definitely useless. No enthusiasm in his character, was there? And Shane used to say, oh, give it here, I'll do it, you're useless. Anyway, as Peggy, I was skiving. So I was actually at the bingo game in the
Right.
theatre itself, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
this lady said to me, can I have your autograph? I said, I'm acting. No, I'm acting. I'm Peggy. Oh, yeah. So you know what I mean? So sometimes, to be fair, they kind of probably didn't expect that people would come armed with a bit of pen and paper, but
Yeah.
we laughed ourselves to death, darling. But you see, at that time, I suppose we were luckier still, Ben, because there was such a thing as a summer season still then.
Yeah.
You know, where people used to go and they'd go for a whole week, wouldn't they? I think what started to start the rot was because Blackpool and places became accessible with better roads, so people just used to come for the day. They didn't necessarily
Yeah.
have to go for a week. So
Yeah, that's a great point, because shows played for months, didn't they? Bournemouth, Blackpool,
yes,
Torquay.
and it was
It was big
Blackpool.
business.
Oh, it was totally. Certainly Blackpool, it was a 6-month stint there. 6 months,
Wow.
twice a night. That's what they did.
Gosh.
But there
It's
was
it's a tough schedule, isn't it? That is a tough schedule. And you have to be fit, don't you? You have to be fit.
oh, totally. There was always a warm up, obviously, which we still do, don't we? You know, when we do the physical and the vocal.
Yeah.
And you just had to make sure that if you went out at night afterwards, you know, you'd be back by 4 a.m, because then you could sleep. You know, some people don't go out at all. They just go straight home, which I think if it works for them, it works. You've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
people that paid good money out there, Ben. They need the best show you can give them.
Yeah, and that's our job, isn't it? That's our role, to make people feel happier and to give them a fun experience.
Yes, I think so. And hopefully, you know, you can have fun yourself. So everybody's happy then. The theatre's happy because hopefully you brought people in, you've got an audience. And, you know, the producer's happy, audience. And then everybody at the end of it can say, do you know, that was a great 2 months that we did there in that panto.
Yeah, completely. And you played Peggy for 8 years, and
Yeah.
we've chatted about the amazing experience of that. Is it hard when that finishes, Sue, or did you just harness and embrace all those wonderful memories to propel you to the next stage of your career, or was there a period where you think, oh gosh, can I top that?
I know exactly what you're saying because you embody, forget that. I'll start again. You, em- you embody the character. So
Yeah.
it's in your soul, you know. And it was terribly sad on the last day of filming. We were all really crying. We went back to the hotel. David was up generous as always, you know, champagne and thanking all of us and the crew, etc. And he said, but he was so fabulous. He said, of course, this is the end of an era, but there'll be another show offered to you. He said, we're writing it already. No,
Wow.
you couldn't write it for everyone, I guess, but they wrote it for people, I think, that thought they were going to suit the next show, which happened to be You Rang Me, Lord.
Yeah.
And so he went, no, that'll be the greatest memory of my life, Heidi High. But so you have to move on, don't you? Because you want to have a career, obviously, so you
Yeah.
need to go and embrace the other parts. So, and the great thing is, though, Ben, people still come up to you and say, oh, I love that show. I used to watch it with my granddad and my mum, and you know what I mean. And there's still memories and there's still box sets. The shows that are popular, they're never going to die. You just then move on to the next gig, don't you? I mean, I loved You Rang Me, Lord. It was fabulous. So I embraced that as well. But that was 5 years. Then I still embraced Oh Dr. Beeching. I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like vocally, you had a number 2 single, didn't you? 86, Starting Together. You can sing. Is that something that you love to explore? I know you do a lot of cabaret.
Oh, yes, I've always loved that. That's what I started off as, if you like, as a singer in the choir at school, even though I fell through the box, you know, Angel Gabriel will be coming soon. And, you know, And no, I've always really loved that. And then I've had singing lessons from when I was about 15. People say, why don't you go earlier? I said, no, you can't. You could damage your vocal cords. You're not ready to have
You're not
lessons
developed,
every
are
week.
you?
No. And so I still do my exercises and everything that, from what I remember when I had lessons. And so I was fortunate and I got to number 2, beaten only by Diana Ross with Chain Reaction.
Really? Oh
Yeah,
my
so it was
goodness.
really good.
Well, that ain't bad. That ain't
No,
bad.
that's what I was thinking about. But I was very lucky, darling, because like in most cases, very often if this is like a documentary, it was on a couple that were getting married and they were just engaged. And it was a documentary about how they were facing their wedding day and the preparations. And above at the top of the show, there was the theme tune. We're starting together, and that was the theme tune for it. So I was
Wow.
really lucky. And then one guy said, oh, I think that will make a nice single. So I said, would you think so? He said, oh, yes. Desmond Wilcox produced it, this documentary, this lovely Esther's husband. And I remember filming it. And we had to throw snowballs at each other on Hampstead Heath. And the young couple engaged, they were in it as well. They were so nice. I really enjoyed them. Anyway, it started to chuck it down with snow. And I went, oh God, what am I going to do? And they said, look, have you got anything with you that you can put on your head? I said, well, I've got this jumper. Oh, stick that on your head. You'll be fine. So if you look at the video, you can see I'm trying to make this jumper into a turban.
That's my evening viewing sorted, Sue. That's my evening
But
viewing.
it was hilarious. It just shows you never know where you're going to get another opportunity.
But also it's how wonderful that in life you do have to embrace these opportunities, don't you? It's all about having an experience, and if you think nothing too awful can happen, it can often lead to so many exciting opportunities, can't it? Just by taking a little leap of faith in yourself.
I, I absolutely do believe that. But also I do believe as well that you've got to have people around you that go, yeah, your
Yeah,
mums and
yeah,
dads, you'll never know until you give it a go, babes, and you might really find that you're good at something then and carry on doing it. So I think it's lovely to have the encouragement. We don't want to be surrounded by negativity. I don't think a lot of people think they're being negative. What they are trying, I think, to point out is, well, you're taking a big leap. You've got to be,
yeah,
so I did a shorthand typing course at school. And it was always, at least you've got that to fall back on. So people, I think, are just
yeah.
trying to point out the, you know,
Yeah, and they're just trying to ultimately, I guess, look out for your welfare as well, aren't they?
yes, I'm sure they are. But also, I think they perhaps missed an opportunity, maybe, because they were either too scared of it or weren't encouraged. So sadly, that's their mindset. They probably were.
Yeah.
So they've still got it in the head. I always say to people, go on, give it a go, dear.
Sue, you completely put a smile on my face and an awful lot of people's faces. Also, as your wonderful characters you've played, Peggy, especially in Heidi High, um, you got a lot of satisfaction from those roles. Do you have any idea, and you really do, Sue, not even with those characters, but as a person, as Sue Pollard, how happy you make a lot of people feel?
Well, I have had that said to me by young and older than older. I don't want to call them old, but I suppose you are at 96. And no, but I'm very lucky because I've been very fortunate, an optimistic nature, and trying to think, oh, come on, get over it, it'll be fine. We've all had our moments, of course we do, but I've had longevity. And I know what really I don't need to bother about anymore. I think, oh, I'm not wasting my time on that. And why am I bothered about that? Or why am I nervous of this? You still get nervous in our job, Ben, don't you? But I always
Yeah.
try to say to people, oh, come on, babe, it'll be fine. Don't worry, you'll be marvellous. I said, and you're not. You're only thinking about what could happen. It hasn't happened yet. You're almost inviting this to happen because, so I always say to people, come on. And I always take time. I do. I take time to talk to the younger ones, and they say, "You haven't got 5 minutes for a chat, have you? Because I'm just feeling a bit. I don't know whether I can do this." And so
Yeah.
I think encouragement to everybody is everything. Because I've had that, and I want to pass it on.
You by doing that, Sue, you'll be helping so many people. And it's important, isn't it, for young people coming into the profession to know that it is going to be all right. That yes, it is a hard profession, but you can get so much from it. And ultimately, we're just there to put a smile on people's faces, aren't we?
Yeah, you're totally right, darling. I know it sounds, but it is quite as simple as that. It's just getting to the stage where you know that you give. Now, but also, I often say to them, and they'll go, "Oh, can I do this part?" I said, "Darling, 52 people auditioned for this. You got it. Of course you can do the
Yeah.
part. You're the best one for it. You wouldn't have, people aren't going to spend time and money on you if they feel you're not going to take direction or something." And even something like that it can lift them a bit. And they go, "Yes, you're right. I'm going to embrace this." And in any job, people need a bit of reassurance, don't they?
Yeah.
I
Well, it's a
think
wonderful
any job
quality.
you do.
Oh my goodness, and it's a wonderful quality you have to be able to do that, Sue. Last year, you were in the BBC documentary, a lovely watch. I thought, Pilgrimage: The Road Through.
And I think the pilgrimage was a great experience for all of us, and
Yeah,
it teaches you as well, This, try and be kind to people, and don't be judgmental because so many people are. And the sad thing is, well, I don't know what she's doing that for. What does he think he's doing that? He won't get me doing it. Well, that's his choice then. Let him have that choice. Not,
yeah. It's been a wonderful chat, and I like to ask all my guests, Sue. Just wonder what's on your dinner menu tonight. Do you like to cook? Are you eating out tonight?
I'll tell you where I'm going, to be fair, where I am eating at. I never used to cook hardly at all. Very basic. Then I went on MasterChef because I kept all my recipes from MasterChef. And I do tend to eat out quite a bit. It could be just something very simple, haché, steak haché. It's a bit like a
Oh,
burger, but it's like chopped mince, if you like, in steak. But
oh,
I'm going now this evening to Langen's Brasserie, right?
oh!
Langen's
Beautiful.
is, that lovely thing. It was a restaurant that used to be owned by Peter Langen along with Michael Caine, the film star, right? And it's still going. And funnily enough, I've been invited there this evening by James Whale, who is a broadcaster. He does a lot on
Yeah,
Talk, and he's very controversial. I like that, you see. I don't mind. And he's just been awarded an MBE, right, which is
wonderful.
fantastic for broadcasting. And so I'm going there, and I've already googled the menu. I'm going right now. What can I have? I'm going to have these, like the prawns and things like that,
Oh,
along with
Sue, my goodness.
big salad, that kind of thing. And I never kind of go for a lot of meat. It's just because I just find it more difficult to digest, so I'll just have chicken. And then before that,
Oh,
I'm going to have avocado thing. And then after that,
oh,
after the main course, I'm going for cheese and artisan bread.
oh my
So I'll
goodness,
have a cheese
Sue, I
sandwich
like your
after.
style.
I'll have a cheese
You can
sandwich.
have a cheese butty at midnight.
Yeah.
Can you bring me back a doggy bag? That sounds blooming lovely.
Yes, I think it'll be really nice. And then of course, I'm sure I shall have a glass of rosé. But normally, if I was cooking my own, Ben, just to give you I would have
Yeah.
something like usually salad. I'll have salmon and chili, perhaps fish cakes. I like them.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, just things like that. Something fairly light. Quick, to be honest. I'm not too extravagant at cooking, to be fair. But I'll have anything.
I love my grub. I love my grub. Well, have a lovely evening tonight, Sue. It's been so lovely to chat to you. You are an absolute joy, and your personality just shines, and you make so many people happy.
Oh,
And what is lovely, you've put a huge smile on my face, and that's great. And
it's a great
thank you.
smile. Oh, it's a great smile. And thank you for being such a good host. Yeah.
Oh,
You'll
you're
go
so
far.
welcome,
You'll still be
Sue.
doing this when you're about 70. Yeah, I've had a real pleasure, and love to everyone out there.
Thanks for joining me in Benjy's Cafe. Hope you enjoyed listening to Sue as much as I enjoyed talking to her. Make sure you hit follow so every episode gets sent straight to your phone, no booking required, available wherever you get your podcasts. In episode 8, Benjy's Cafe will be heading to Australia, and I'll be chatting to former England cricket captain Adam Hollyoake. Like Adam, it's an uplifting and powerful episode. I'll get the kettle on. Have a great day.